Out so far, but
yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Because essentially, let's say we had the 50-50 over there. What do you want to do, Mike? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Tell me what you want to do. You want to do that cool thing? Whatever it is? That thing? Yeah, that thing? I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So you guys can't do it.
Right. Okay.
50-50 partners.
Yeah. I would say you're probably right.
When that goes the wrong way, yeah, you need someone needs to have it the other way. And the other really critical thing that no one thinks about is you need to have an exit strategy with all this stuff. Like if you say you both starting the book together, and again 3 issues in, I don't want to do this book anymore. I don't like this book, or I got the job offer to do whatever, or my health's failing, or whatever the deal is, right? That this is what happens to your percentage of ownership of this as a result. And it can be something as creative as like comics. Very few people are making a lot of money in comics, okay? Actually printing and selling comic books, okay? So it's critical that as much of that pie you can have to soldier on with, right? But you can still have it so, yeah, but if it becomes the feature, and you were the first artist on it, this is always going to be your cut,
Right.
Or maybe even make it so if you stay on the book for the first year, your cut then becomes a little bit more, because you want to encourage, the participation.
Yeah.
But you have to be prepared for the participation to go away.
What happened with Walking Dead? Because I know Tony Moore did the first 6 issues or so, and then Charlie Adler has done it ever since. And
Charlie, who's now a comic laureate. He's
a what?
He's a comic laureate now. He won in England. He received his cape from Dave Gibbons. Seriously, go on Facebook and you'll see there's a blue cape that Charlie has now.
But Walking Dead's now the successful TV show, and
what? Again, this is I don't know for a fact. All I know is that when Charlie has been asked if he's been taking care of this stuff, the response was, "I have more money than I know what to do with." Okay. So that's that's usually a sign that something good is kind of going on.
Yeah.
Here, I'll pass these guys out. Flip through those guys. That's Trubert on the top, that one. Yeah, so that stuff is so critically important. The other part really critically important too is when you guys decide you want to start building your following, you really want to start getting things out on social. So you got Facebook, your Instagram, you got everything. Don't start doing it until you have 3 months worth of stuff. And the reason for that is, one, out of sight, out of mind. If you're not consistent with your posts, you will lose the audience that you're attempting to build. And 2, things happen in life. You want to take a vacation. You have to take care of a family member. You have to do whatever. This way you have this stuff all set in the pipeline that you can keep coming out with stuff for your fan base to keep building off of.
It's hard to keep people's attention for extended, it's 6 months later, the book's coming.
Yeah, you can't do it. It won't work. It will fail every time. But I'm telling you, especially too as new people, sometimes if you think Image doesn't pay attention to how many followers you have on your various social media accounts, you are mistaken, okay? And it could be the thing that gets you an Image deal over you just showing them the book that you're doing and them going, yeah, whatever. Yeah, this is my book, and I have 50,000 followers on, They understand that can equate to sales for them.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is nobody, unless you're a no name, is going to be able to waltz into Image or Dark Horse or IDW with a cover and a pitch and set up a book. Okay? Unless you're a known commodity, that's not going to happen. What you need to have happen is Image right now is, they want 3 books in the can before they start soliciting for somebody, but you would need to have at least 2 going into any of these companies, and they have to be done.
I think it's even good to just self-publish, even as hard as it is. So when you get that Image deal, if you get that Image deal, you really appreciate what they offered, as far as placement in the previews and marketing muscle.
Well, and again, the thing about Image and why Image is really kind of the cherry one you want to go with first, if you can get there, is you own it. it's yours. There's nobody image waltzing in and going, oh, I get that cut from the entertainment or this cut from the other thing. It's like you pay a small percentage on the book publication or a small fee on the book publication, and it is yours. You do whatever the hell you want with it. IW is going to want a little something on the back end. Dark Horse is certainly going to want a little something on the back end. You know, and right now, Image has the higher profile properties. So you want to be with the place that has the higher profile properties.
I would say Boom is on the way up, but like Tony, you guys were at Dark Horse, and very rarely does Dark Horse steer outside of licensed property or like Frank Miller or Sergio Aragonés. How'd you guys get Concrete Park picked up over there? Just being awesome?
Being awesome. We sent accidentally a piece of art to Mike Richardson. He said I'd be interested in publishing that.
How'd you accidentally send it?
I had query letters to Image, to all these. By the way, Image who never wrote back. You know,
I told them not to.
But I accidentally hit send on his without even the text of the letter, just the picture.
Oh wow!
And he just liked the picture. I was just a lucky shot.
Oh wow!
Image just everyone else really hated the text.
Yes, exactly. So they hated the text.
This is back when she was called Pez.
Yep. And half the characters didn't have their names yet.
So you co-wrote this with David, right?
Yep.
What's that process? I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm too selfish, but how do you co-write? Like what, is it like
These are some Faster and Light originals.
Is that a hard thing to do for you, or?
It depends who you're writing with.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it depends, like sometimes, you know, how much give and take there is and how people, you know, do this. I don't mind co-plotting with somebody. I have a tough time co-scripting with people. That doesn't quite make sense to me. Even when I worked in TV, it blew me away that you have these guys that were all the writing partner teams and
The
stuff,
writer room,
and there'd be like, you know, I can't remember the guys' names. We were Warner Brothers. They had that total partner desk thing, and they were just right face to face writing together. I'm like, I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me. You know, it's like, you know, though I will say that Faster and Light, the initial idea for it was from 1992, and when I did have a writing partner, Evan Carlos Summers, and Evan, we actually ghost wrote, and he was on staff at the time at Deep Space Nine. And we wanted to do our own Star Trek, and that was basically where that idea came from. Cool. The idea was to do our own Star Trek and do it right now.
Do you prefer this sort of like writing just your own thing, 100% you, or do you like the collaborative? Like with Anomaly, it was more of a collaboration, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a preference, or?
It depends what it is.
Yeah.
You know, it depends whether it's yeah, it just depends on it. Because sometimes it's your baby and you don't want anybody to mess with it. You know, and sometimes you're working with somebody who's just like, you know, so pleasant. You get such pleasant surprises in working with them. Like on Anomaly, you know, so I did the black and white parts. Jared came in and did the painted parts, and then I'd go and do some quick retouching, and sometimes not any retouching, but they would be so. He would do things that would so surprise me, and so entertain me that it was great. I mean, that. I think again that goes back to the homage experience. Is we were trained right from the get-go at comics because it was a collaborative process, so we had, you know, writer, penciler, inker, colorist, you know, color guidist even back then. Our job was to make the book better every step of the way. So your job wasn't necessarily to just ink the pencils, it was to make the pencils better. You know, your job as a colorist was to make the story clearer and prettier and more dynamic and stuff, and I think that really made some of that stuff very high level art-wise. I think now, though, the style now is much more pragmatic. It's much more straightforward. If you look at most coloring these days, there's a lot of flat coloring going on that looks great. You know, if you look at like the style of like a book like Paper Girls or something like that, you know, he's not sitting in there and going noodling on anything.
Yeah, more
It's
stylized.
big gestures, it's big, you know, clean kind of stuff. That's the style that's really happening right now, you know. It almost is like a very, very good old indie style, but a
I
very
think it's
good
because
one.
of manga sort of coming, like the kids have now sort of grown up with manga where it's more fast, loose.
But it's still not really manga at the end of
No,
the day.
no.
You know, it's because the storytelling vernacular is actually more of an American storytelling vernacular for sure. I think it's just more. I think part of it is there's not as much money in it as there used to be, so people have to go a little faster.
Right.
And I think that's why a lot of people are doing more digital stuff at the same time. Because it's faster, and there's a lot of books that are coming out that are even just pure digital at the end of the day, so they're not even doing layouts and stuff. I'll give you guys my 5-second page layout course. So most people these days don't know how to read a regular comic book page. Okay, meaning an old school comic book page where I have multiple panels cut up into these panels and going around the whole thing. Okay. My philosophy is keep it simple, stupid. Okay? From here, you go down. Okay? More important pages or panels are bigger. Okay? But they're all widescreen. And this also works very, very well for digital. So if you have one panel coming up on a widescreen device, a phone or a tablet or something like that, this converts to that very, very well. But it's about having the storytelling be clean. And also what is great about this for a new artist doing this, because when I was first trying to wrap my head around doing page layout, when I was first doing this stuff, it's like, okay, wait a second, so I gotta figure out what the panels, what shape they're gonna be in, and then I gotta figure out what goes in that panel stuff. Once you decide that this is your shape, okay, you know, in fact, in my talk, I'm really bringing it down at Adobe Max. It's doing comics from start to finish. And in that talk, I've actually broken in the page into, I call them panel units. Okay, and the 6 panel units can fit on a page. Then you break down, depending on the importance, how many panel units are actually needed on a page. So if it's 4 panel units, so it's like 2 of these going up.
And you stick to that, like, for most of the book, the entire book?
Yeah.
Dave Lapham does that a lot, too.
But you can do,
Bullets.
but you can do, yes, but you can do splash pages, you know, 3 panel pages, 2 panel pages, however you want to do it, you know. The other thing, again, for classic sort of storytelling that people don't think about a lot, so it's not working this well, right? Pagination. So everybody knows what pagination on a comic book is. So you have like basically,
When I get you pen?
no, we don't. Pressure sensitive pen. There you go. Hold on. Hold on. Stay on target.
He's got a lot of tools here.
Brings all the goodies.
So, all right. So,
Right on this.
pagination. I'm thinking I'm pulling out a black, but I'm not. I'm pulling out a silver. So, pagination. So, cover. Think of these as like how they're opened up, right? So we have, this is the cover. This is the IFC, which means inside front cover. Page 1. Next 2 pages, which and is not working. Much better. Okay, 2, 3, and this will be a very short comic. We'll have page 4, inside back cover, IBC, and back cover. When you are laying out your book, you do not want to have your big reveal of something that's happening on this page, because you know this is the 2-3. Boom. We see the whole 2 pages at once, okay? You do not want to have your big surprise thing happening right over here, because when you turn the page, you can see that thing already, what's going to happen, right? You want to have the big surprise thing either here or here. You want to turn the page. And that's why paginations are very, very important, okay? Because they will radically affect your storytelling, okay? The other reason why they're very important is you know where you can put a spread.
That's what we were talking about earlier.
Double-page spread. Because otherwise, there are so many times I have seen that bite people in the ass. And then it was also really bad when DC and Marvel started putting ads inside the book, because they didn't necessarily fill in the artists before they were doing that.
Yeah, wow.
And there are a couple books that you'll see, like big books, some of the X-Men books when they used to sell a whole bunch, where the spread has been cut in half, because they were like, production with it, I don't care. I don't care about storytelling. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm glad you said this, because I've been telling you guys, when I write a script, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, on down to like 24 pages or whatever,
Yeah.
and I just have my block, what that scene is, and then flesh it. But the same concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, the other thing too, talking again from the writer's standpoint, is, you know, again, my 5-minute course on writing comics. It's basically, think of the story first linearly. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down, broke the fan. Jill came Emily after. Great. I got the story, right? That's the linear version of that story. Once you have the linear version of the story, think about what's the most interesting way then to tell that story. What's the angle to make that more interesting? Is the first page, first panel, splash, big, on his side, eyes rolled up in his head, blood coming off of his head, foreground shot of Jack. And you see Jill in the background going, you know, was there a love triangle thing going on you didn't know about? Are you better off telling that story from the point of view of the bird and the tree who's always hated those two little brats and set him up by throwing a rock or an acorn at the time that had Jack have the accident or whatever that thing is, right? You know, again, lover's triangle. Is it better off than the other thing to think about too when you're doing this stuff is your art style are your actors, okay? Is this story better to be told anthropomorphic? Is it better if they're two bunnies? Jack and Jill are two bunny people, you know, or is it better in a post-apocalyptic landscape Jack and Jill story, you know? So think about that. Once you have like the basic story you want to tell, think about the most interesting way to tell that story.
When you have the linear part of the story, it's probably not interesting yet. So how do you tell whether you're done with it and can move on?
Well, on a basic level, and you have a famous screenwriter right behind you, so you can give you some notes too. To me, as long as it's got a beginning, middle, and end, you're in a good place, and you can kind of go from there. But the other thing to think about, which I think people don't think about, and this is Aaron Spelling I had one meeting with once, and it's one of the most important things I ever learned or put in my backpack as a writer or a creator. He said, you know what my shows do well? And it's like, well, whatever. I was like, because all of my characters have secrets. I like that. That works very well. That's another coating to put on top of once you get the beginning, middle, and the end. You know, it's like, you know, that person is really that person's half brother. Yeah, I mean, again, the bad version is the full-blown soap opera version, the evil twin, you know, all that kind of stuff. But the good version is, you know, the person has a phobia.
Yeah.
You know, you have your whatever the things that he kept hitting this whole time. You think this is a badass guy, and this guy gets in the dark and he freaks out, and you can't rely on the guy that you thought you were going to be able to rely on, or whatever the deal is, right?
Yeah, kind of speaking to that, like looking at like teen books in the 80s, like, you know, Wolverine, when nobody knew really his past, or he was the most popular. Snake Eyes and G.I. Joe was the mysterious one, you know, secrets.
Yeah, and then sometimes too, it's like the other part is once you do get some of this stuff going off the ground, sometimes your fan base will then help you with these things, because they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that guy's going, and you're thinking, that wasn't in my story, but it's good, but that wasn't in my story. You know, I still remember when I was a kid, and you know, we saw Boba Fett for the first time. And there were all these in the fandom, and there wasn't even the internet back then. There was still enough fandom stuff, going like, oh, he's a clone of Luke, and or there's this other thing, and this other thing, and it's like, and you know, some of those things, it's just, you know, I mean, I know that the Lost writers, because they did not plan out anything past season 1 when they started writing that show, and they paid attention to a lot of that stuff, and they cherry picked whichever was the best or most shocking and most twisting thing off the internet. So that's a value too.
It's a good tip.
How are we doing time-wise?
I don't know. Ram took my phone, so.
Yeah, we're good. Okay.
Cool. Any other questions, guys?
I've got a practical question about the panel layout and everything. I want to go back a step to something we were talking about. You know, some users are now using your book on their phone. And what's your experience with that? Do people say, gee, you make me scroll across a cinemascope frame?
I tend not to go more than 6 panels on these things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and at 6 they're not too bad. I mean, 'cause this is basically, there'll be a couple more here. So these are almost about what a 6-panel height is. And it seems to sit pretty well on a phone. It seems to sit pretty well.
But you're saying in its entirety it sits well on a phone?
No, I think even like this, it sits pretty well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in other words, one character on the left is saying something, and you gotta.
No, you can still. It'll just, you know, you'll have a little bit of the black bar kind of thing, but it's still landscape on the.
And do you have versions of this thing that people can use panel by panel like that? You know, for mobile?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
No, this is on this is through image, so it's on Comixology.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so that's how that one works.
Okay. I've got a second question about
No, shut up.
You know, whenever I think of the name Anomaly on your book, I think of you, that you're so unusual in that you have to wear all these hats and you had to master all these different technical skills to do this, and not everybody has the time to do that kind of thing. I'm thinking of myself. But I'm thinking, do you know of anybody who's doing off-the-shelf solutions, like with the Unity engine and the, you know, and the augmented reality, that could provide an off-the-shelf solution for other people's books? Because I'd hire you if I could. I'm seriously, because I don't have the time. You know, most of us don't have the time to learn what you've already learned, but you're like the only one.
Anybody who would be doing something like that is probably working for, I mean, the money that's being thrown around, right? It's like the old, there was, I don't know if anyone remembers back in the old, there was a period of time in the mid-90s where Flash was popular, and all the studios opened their own little Flash animation companies because it was going to be the thing that would just blow up the internet and stuff. And it was still a time when we were all using 28.8 baud modems, and you're not going to really be able to stream that much stuff. And they had no plan at the time on how to pay for it. They were spending money like crazy, and I took as much of it as I could. Right now is the same time in AR and VR. So these guys are getting so much money thrown at them. So if we decided we don't want to do comics anymore and we wanted to just do what you were talking about, the money, there'd be a huge amount of money thrown at us. But that's why you're not seeing a solution for someone.
Yeah. You're killing me, man.
You had a question over here?
Yeah, I don't work in the industry, but I was wondering, what would it take to get the character known as Gladiator, Marvel's Superman with a mohawk that have his own comic, or that the DC character Wave Rider? These are characters that they look awesome. They should have their own comics. What does it take?
Well,
Like if I was working in the industry.
Well, let's say you were, okay, so let's say those are the characters you love, then you would go and you'd be pitching those characters to Axel over at Marvel, you know, and saying, I got a great idea for the Gladiator book, you know. Actually, I was lucky enough I got to do a few covers on we did the Realm of the Kings.
Oh, yeah.
I did covers on that book. So I got to do Gladiator a couple times. Yeah, it's usually, unless something's going on with like a movie or TV thing, right? It's about a creator getting the ear of the person who could make it happen, which would be Axel or Tom probably over there, and saying, "This is my pitch for this. I got a great pitch for Gladiator," you know, and that's how that would happen.
Speaking as a peddler of this stuff, what I see happening, right, especially at Marvel right now, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm not criticizing it, but you can see, okay, in 2017, a Captain Marvel movie is coming out, and you can see on the publishing side how they really shine these characters up. Like, she's the co-star of Civil War II, the major Marvel event right now. So it's like,
Which one?
Captain Marvel, Cheryl Danvers, female Captain Marvel. So she's going to be the star of a movie, but now they want to really pump up her fan base, you know, putting her in a prime position, like, you know, facing off against Iron Man in Civil War II. Doctor Strange gets, you know, his comic relaunched after being dormant for so many years, you know. So maybe they'll make a Gladiator movie.
And if you are a professional in the industry, and
I like the idea of getting into the industry, and
the big
all the fans do.
Sure.
Yeah.
The big trick is, though, which I didn't understand when I was first saying, because when they first started doing movie crossover, the movie, the comic based on the movie kind of thing, you'd always be like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to do, you know, regular X-Men or whatever the deal is, right?
Yeah.
After getting my first royalty checks on those books, you really want to grab those books.
Oh, the movie adaptation
Yes,
stuff?
you
Yeah.
do.
Which ones did you work on?
Back in the day, so it'd be Fantastic Four stuff, and you know, it'd be those earlier movie things. Those are Mark Silvestri layouts for Cyberforce. This is another one that's kind of interesting. This is Art Adams' page, and what I think you'll find interesting is the number of construction perspective lines that Art puts on the page.
Thanks, that terrible.
Any other questions out there, guys?
This was another. I mean, you get also when you're working in the industry too, you get calls from all kinds of other things. So this was a redesign that Axel wanted me to do for Moon Knight.
That is
When
awesome.
they were going to do a new Moon Knight, so more of a noir sort of.
I love that. It could be like the TV version or the Netflix version. It's great. Moon Knight's my favorite character.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I did all the licensed property stuff for the first Fantastic Four movie, so I did pills, you name
Yeah.
it, was all my stuff at the end of the day. What else was I gonna say?
Do you have any regrets along the way in your illustrious career?
You know, I would love to have, rather than keep jumping around sometimes book, I'd love to have like one book is the only thing I need to worry about doing.
Yeah.
These were, when I talked about the multiple, there was 200 something illustrations for the Between Worlds book. These are some of the other illustrations that didn't get put into the book. From J.M. Plato. And myself.
And when you say, you know, don't go 50-50 on a deal with fellow creators, how do you approach it? How do you work for hire with?
So you're lucky to be working with me, and no, what you I usually will pay somebody.
Yeah. It's worth it in the long run, I
Yeah.
would say, yeah.
I'll usually,
That's what I've been doing.
I will pay you. I'll pay you, and you will understand that there will be some sort of, again, I usually, because these days, to have enough wiggle room in the sales of a comic book, you need to have a comic book sell probably like 20,000 or more to really kind of then be, you know, I mean, if you're the writer, but you're also paying for a colorist, you're also paying for a letterer, you're also doing all the other stuff you're doing, right? That kind of break, you know, and that used to be the DC break level too, even for royalties. It's like 40K or above. I forget what it is now currently. That you have so if you are going to then decide to do profit sharing in some way, right? You know, then it's going to be more like when it's money that makes a real difference. You know, it's like if it's not $1,000, it's like if this becomes a movie and that's the thing that you worked on, and I make $1 million, you're going to get a good chunk.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing is like, because then it's money that makes a difference in someone's life. You know, if it's just if I'm still paying you to do the work and stuff, and if I'm not getting rich off that work that we're doing right now, and you're getting paid, then I think we're good. You know, but if it also becomes this thing, then yeah, you got to spread the wealth. You know, and those deals work all kinds of different ways. I mean, there's like little royalty deals, big royalty deals, participation. You can word it all kinds of different ways. From where I stand now, legally, it's probably a mistake to actually call them royalties in a contract. You want to call them a participation or something like that instead.
Do you handle all your own legal contracts, or do you have a lawyer that writes it?
My partner's the biggest entertainment lawyer in
Okay,
the
so
world.
you have a guy.
Yeah. So I'm okay. But I want to show you guys a couple more of these things. Let's see.